Go up to a new parak. Hanoida min ha'mevushal. We saw earlier in the Masechta and throughout the Masechta that when it comes to Nedarim, we go after what? Loshin b'nei Adam, with the way what people call something. So we saw that Stam Nedarim lahachmir and Perusham is lahakol. So we go after what? The way what a person means. So the ensuing parakim are going to just be examples, different examples of when a person makes a neder, you go after the lashon of what people call, not what you call, what people call. So we're up to Perek Mem Tes. We're starting from the top. Hanoida min ha'mevushal. Someone makes a neder not to go ahead and have hana from what we call cooked. Now, muta bitsli, you be muta in broiled, ubishalak, and you be muta, and usually it means overcooked. In fact, the Rush and Taisus both say overcooked, but the Ran says undercooked. Look at the Ran, guys. Ubishalak she'ena b'chal loshin mevushal. These things are not b'chal loshin mevushal. Shalak is bishul v'lei bishul. It's cooked, but it's not cooked. Then he the shalak nami mashma mevushal yosim midai. Even though shalak usually means overcooked, kidamina perikol abasar, hakaved oseres ve'in aseres. A liver, its blood makes asa, but it itself is not asa. Shlukai seres v'neseres. Shalak tacha bashul bashalu. The Nedarim halacha chaloshim b'nei Adam. That's the key, guys. By Nedarim we go after what people say. V'tavshel shenisvashel yosim midai b'chal mavushalu. That's considered what? Well done. We call well done cooked. So therefore the Ran goes out of the way and says, when our Mishnah says that shalak is not bichlal, it must be what people don't call shalak. So again, by Nedarim, we go after Lashon B'nei Adam. A person makes a neder not to have enough from what? From cooked food. He's permitted broiled food, because broiled is not cooked food, and shalak. And if it's overcooked, which is usually the meaning of shalak, that would be b'chal the neder. And when the Mishnah says it's mutter, so it must be it's undercooked. It must be it's undercooked. So we spoke out the Rosh and Tosfos, and now the Mefarish all seem to agree that shalak usually means. So the Ran is going a little bit above board, guys, because usually overcooked is cooked. I know I have a good friend of mine for many years that he can't eat a steak that's red. It has to be burnt. It has to be burnt. I'm not going to say who it is, hypothetically, but maybe in the share. Anyway, but it's like, it's like in the restaurant. If you order it, they say, take the chicken, right? So again, this by Nedarim we go after Lashon B'nei Adam, and Lashon B'nei Adam is not cooked for not cooked. It fits in nice with the theme. Amar koinim tavshel. Now, mevushal is cooked. Here you're making tavshel cooked for a particular thing that's cooked. Tavshel, what's considered a tavshel? Shani toyim. So I'm not going to have enough from a tavshel. Asa b'maisa kedera, mrach. You asa anything that what is maisa kedera rach, that's soft. That has reitiv, guys. It has what? It has sauce. And we're going to see in the Gemara, it means anything you could eat with as a relish. You eat it with bread. Anything that accompanies bread would be bechlal. I know tavshel. Masha enkein, if it's ava umuta ba'ava, you be muta in something thick, because something that's thick is not eaten with bread. It's not eaten with bread. So that, again, this is the lashon of B'nei Adam, of Nedarim at that time, and therefore anything eaten with bread is considered a tavshel. If it's not eaten with bread, it's not a tavshel. And the demarcation we're making over here is between soft, something that's right there, the sauce, or something that's thick. Umuta bebeitza termuta. It's muta, this egg that it seems to be you swallow it whole, and you would cook it a lot and then shrink it. Ubedalas haramutza, and that's a gourd that's made in ramutza. I think it's in some type of ish, hot ish. All these would be permitted. Anoidu and maisa kedera. Okay, now so we said mevushal, we said tavshel, and now you're say maisa kedera. Ein oiser ela maisa sachta. Only a maisa what? Risachta. You only in maisa risachta with something that is We're going to see Bes Hashem. We'll get a little weiter. So Hanoida Ama Koina Mayori L'Kedera She'eni Tayim Yori L'Kedera Asa B'Chol Tavshilim B'Kedera. You'll be Asa in everything. Let's just see this last thing about Tavshil. Look at the Ran right before it gets white. Ama Koina Tavshil She'eni Tayim Asa B'Maisa Kedera Rachum Utna Ba'ava. Maisa Kedera Kegoin Chilka is grits, Targis is groats, the Tisnei is barley groats, the Kamar Dimhu Rach Asa. The Haitana Kolmidin Misachla Berifta Tafshel Kari. Like anything that can be eaten with bread is called a tafshel. Kedamina Gemaras will say, Umaisa Kedera, and Maisa Kedera is Ava Ba'apin Avshi Achle Pas. Something that what is thick, you can eat it without pas. That's and we said Beit Tzimutza and Vaita. Okay. Says the latter part of the Mishnah we're going to catch up on later on. Anyway, we just said the following. We said that we said that Maisa that you're permitted to go ahead and eat something that is what is sli. You could eat sli because sli is not b'chal what bishul, not mavashal. Tanya Rabbi Yeshaya Oisa Rabbi Yeshaya would asa bit sli. Something that's broiled and you made a neder not to have enough from a bushel, you would not be able to eat sli. Even though I don't have a raya, I have a hint. Shenemar vayivashlu haPesach be'esh kimishpat, and they cooked the Pesach be'esh in fire kimishpat. Now we all know the korban Pesach has to be in sliesh, and yet it says the lashon of vayivashlu. So you see that what sli can apply to bishul. So if you know them in a bushel, the chlal that is what is sli.
We shouldn't cook. We can't eat cooked food on Pesach night if that's the case. We're not going to eat sli on that first night.
Right.
According to the sheet, we shouldn't eat cooked food.
Again, we're going to see. Don't. This is not halacha.
Sli is a more specific part of bishul. It's included in bishul, but it's
by Nedarim we go after Lashem and Adam. That not again. Right now, this Mishnah to any one of us would not apply because we would ask for everything. Some goes there Noidim in a bushel, right? Everything's gone. You're not so specific between a broiled chicken, a poached chicken, a Hawaiian chicken, smoked chicken. Yeah, no, food is food, right? You make an edit, you're not going to eat. That's the bottom line, right? That's the bottom line. That's the way it works. So he wants to bring a raya that bishul, that sli is b'chal bishul from a pasuk in Divrei Yomim that's describes the korban Pesach. Lema, let us say b'ha our Tana and Rabbi Yeshaya. The Rabbi Yeshaya savar halachach lashon Torah. When it comes to Nedarim, we don't go after what people say. We go after what the Torah says, which is very schwer to say, guys, because the neder goes upon what you thought about. It makes sense that by neder you go after Lashem and Yodam because you're the one making the neder. You had in mind what you wanted to answer, right? So the Torah calls one thing and you don't call it that way. Anyway, so it's fair to say that. But let us say that Rabbi Shai Savar halachas Torah, the Tana Dilan, Atana Savar, b'Nedarim halachach Lashem and Yodam. By Nedarim, you go after people. So therefore, people don't call it sli bishul, and therefore it'd be muta. Whereas Rabbi Yeshaya says, since the Torah, the Divrei Yomim, Divrei Kabbalah, not even Divrei Kabbalah, it's Ksuvim, calls it what? Bishul. So therefore, sli would be asa. Says the Gemara, no, that's not pshat. Again, it's fair to say that, guys. Again, so therefore the Gemara is no. The Kuli Alma, everybody, I feel Rabbi Yeshaya, b'Nedarim, halachach Lashem and Yodam. We're going to go after what people? Marki Asrei. Everyone goes after their place. As I said, I think we would have to redefine the Mishnah what a person means. I don't know. It's brought down la halacha but Nedarim. But you ask a person what he means. What we mean? I don't know. But anyway, bottom line is by Nedarim everyone goes after Leshma Adam. Marki Asrei B'Shai goes according to his place. Marki Asrei Basrei Tana Dilon in our Tana of our place. That's Tzli Karit Tzli. They call it Tzli. Ulmavushal Kari Ulmavushal. They call broil, and they call bishul. The answer to Rabbi Shaya feels the Kari Mavushal is much more. Rabbi Shaya is much more like we would, that we would be more encompassing. Bishul would be included, but sli would be included in bishul. I Fred Gemara Krod Nasavle. How can the Tana? It brings a pasuk. So what do you mean? It says it's not a limud, guys. That's smakta for the shita. That in fact that bishul is called, that sli is called bishul. That sli is called bishul. interesting Yerushalmi that the Ran brings, guys. Look at the Ran quotes Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi Rabbi Yochanan holchu b'nedarim achaloshem b'nei Adam. Rabbi Yoshia holchu b'nedarim achaloshem Torah. My nafka beinon. What's the difference between Rabbi Yoshia and the Tanakama? So Omar koinim yayin sha'ini toyim b'chag. If you say the yayin is koinim to me that I teach on chag. Now, guys, what's the chag stamazoi? Sukkos. Chag is Sukkos, yeah. Daite Rabbi Yochanan aser b'yom tov ha'achron shel chag. According that we go to Lashon Bnei Adam, guys, do we consider Shmini Atzeres the chag? Yeah, no, we call it the chag. We don't. We need it. We need the Rav to get up and say Kashlei Pedaschem. It's a different chag. We have to learn halachas. What happens if you say Sukkos on? We mish it together, right? So, if you go to the Lashon Bnei Adam by then Yayin, you will be able to drink on Shmini Atzeres. But if you go to Lashon HaTorah, two distinct chagim, that would be the difference. So, Daite Rabbi Yeshaya Muta, you'll be Muta. But after Rabbi Yeshaya Moida Shu Asa, even Rabbi Yeshaya would say Asa. Like Omer Rabbi Yeshaya El Chumra Ad Kan. From Gemara Dilan, that feel Rabbi Yeshaya Moida Dein Halchem Dar Machal Blashem Bnei Adam. So the Yerushalmi says that what he would say it's Asa, he's Machmir, but according to Ad Gemara, he has Charata. In other words, like the Yerushalmi, Rabbi Yochanan stays, Rabbi Yeshaya stays what? You go after Lashon Torah. Lo Ad Gemara what? No, we has Charata. Just again. I think in Bavel they didn't keep 2 days, right? In Bavel they didn't keep 2 days. Am I correct? I think in Bavel was close enough. They didn't keep 2 days, so it'd be a moot point because this was written in Bavel. Right? Anyway, so but the point is being, guys, that by Nedarim you go after Lashon Bnei Adam. Again, it makes sense that way. You're the person who made the neder. What did you have in mind? So obviously, what you have in mind is not necessarily what the Torah has in mind. It has in mind what you call something. Continuing along. So koinim tafshil, we said koinim tafshil that you be usher in something that's soft, but mutter in something that is ava, that's thick. Says the Gemara of Misvashel Nadar, from a tafshil, he made a neder. And ava is a tafshil, guys. So why is it mutter in a thick dish? Thick cooked dish. Once it's tafshil, it's cooked, it's cooked. Amar Abaya, Haitana. Why do we define a tafshil, guys? Not something that's cooked. We define it as something that can be eaten with bread. We define it as something that can be eaten with bread. But Tanya is a raya, guys. Here's a raya. Hanoidemina tafshil, asa b'chol mine tafshil. You'll be asa in all different soft things. We're going to see. V'asa bitzli. You'll be asa in something that's roast broiled. Ubisholak, something that's cooked, overcooked. And something that's normally cooked. The asa and you be asa in soft squash. Why? Because the chaylin eats with them piton. So the raya is from the last case that since this is eaten with bread, the chaylin eats it with bread. That's called a tafshil. That's called a tafshil. In other words, that defines us what tafshil is. Since the chaylin eats it with bread, that's a tafshil. And you have a raya that when a person says tafshil, he means something eaten with bread. No, it means everyone. It means not dafka. I mean, this is what people call a tafshil, that you eat it with bread. Now, the Gemara now is going to digress and say, is it healthy? Is to eat squash healthy? Any is really telling me that people eat squash, right? Rabbi Yirmiyah Chalash, Rabbi Yirmiyah got sick. Avram, we Mem Tes Amid Aleph for the first wide line. We're discussing food. We're discussing Avram squash, right? We're discussing for sick people squash, Avram. So all the Gabe, Asya came along this doctor last year. He came to cure Rabbi Yirmiyah. Because the Kara, the Bachas Beisa, he saw that they had squash in the house. Shaf gave enough. He went out and he said, Malach Musa, Isla Ledei Beisa. But I'm not Ayala Asya Yase. You got a Malach Amavis in this house. I'm coming to cure him. Mamish the Lashon is the Yerushalmi. You see the Lashon. I'm telling you, this is Mamish Nedarim is the Yerushalmi. I don't know. I have to work that out. Mishuna. It's very hard to read the words. And they push it. So Kasha, you tell me that a choila eats squash. The doctor said if there's squash in the house, I'm leaving because I'm fighting a losing battle. Says like kasha. Ha if it's soft squash, then it's good. Ha bashuni, if it's hot squash, then it's no good. So I guess the doctor came into the house, he saw hot squash, and he exited stage left. But I think gourds and squash, to me, they're all the same. Lasha anything that's green and large is a cucumber, squash, gourd.
Something called toxic squash syndrome. Diarrhea, vomiting,
Doc gives us toxic scan switch. It's good to have you, Doc. It's good that we missed you. It's good.
adding to the.
Yeah.
Toxic steaks and
No toxic snake syndrome.
Never say that for what.
Okay. Anyway, so again, so you see that. So he said, so now soft squash seems to be good, and the other stuff stay away from. Rava bar Ula ama ha bikara gufa. One is the squash itself, the ha begava, the kara. One is the inner of the kara. Seems to be two parts: the outer part, which is not healthy, the inner part, which is healthy. Then Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda, luliva de kara bisilka, the inside of a kara with leek. Lulava de kisna bitkutcha, and the inside of a flax plant bikutcha, in the kutach. The kutach, the very famous sourdough dip of sour milk with curds in it, and exactly. Mordechai's face is priceless. Anyway, because they had this dip that they kept for a long time, and it was milachix. It seemed to be kutach and kutach hababli. You have it in Pesachim. Kutach hababli, right? This dip. Anyway, so it seems to be that the inside of a gourd with leek is very helpful. The inside of flax in kutach is helpful. The dove is also loimer for the amaretz. You shouldn't say to an amaretz. Taisva says they'll make fun of you, and Ran says they'll go ahead and start going ahead and messing up all the linen, all the flax, if you tell them this. Now, Rava Oma Man Chaylin, Rava says taka, guys, that what I guess gourds is not for everybody. Squash is not for everybody, but for who's the Chaylin? It's the Rabbanon. It's the Rabbanon. Now, who's the Rabbanon? Why the Chaylin Rabbanon? Says the Ran, Man Chaylin Rabbanon. Ein achinami, the curry that this squash, bein rechichi, whether it's soft, bein ashuni, whether it's hard, koshen l'chaylin, it's not good for a chayla, for a person that is sick. The chikatani shechaylim moichlem ben piton. When do we say a chaylim eats bread with this? Lav chaylim mamish. It's not a person that is physically sick. Elaman chaylim rabbanan that are weak. That feel b'riyusan, even when they're what healthy, they're weak because the Torah goes ahead and weakens. We know the Gemara in Daf Chavav Amid Beis Sanhedrin says that the Torah is mateshes koicha shaladam. The Torah goes ahead and weakens a person, but it doesn't, not a sick person. So we have three terutzim to the kasha. If it's good, healthy or not. According to one pshat, soft is healthy, hard is not. According to the second pshat, outside's not, inside is. And the third pshat, no, it's not healthy at all for a sick person, but a regular person could eat it. So who's the chayla we're speaking about over here? The chayla we're speaking about here, what is the chachamim? Who that Torah is mateshes koichan. Let's get a little bit. We'll spend a little time on this. K'may matzlina on the base. K'may matzlina on who do we daven for? Al katsiri ve al marii. We daven for ill people and for sick people. Look at the Mefarish. Look at the Rashi, the Mefarish. Matzlinin akatsiri roifei chayle amal Yisrael, right? And marii al pleitas seifreihem. So Rashi tells us that what the katsiri are for people who are sick. The marii, the people who are what are weak, and that's what Talmidei Chachamim. There's two separate tefillas. We're davening for cholim. That's the katsiri, and we're davening for Talmidei Chachamim. Pleitas seifreihem. Bulgarian said right. We're davening for what for the Chachamim. Keman Kreb Yosi. With the Omar Katsir Marish Mamina Katsir Mamish, those are Mamish sick, Raifei Chalem Yisrael, Umari, those are weak. That is the Rabbanan. So in Pshat, what does it mean Torah is Mateshes Koich Shalodam? Does it physically mean that a person is ill as a result? I sent it out to your phones, guys. This gives a nice, we're going to see a Torah Chaim in the Sechta Sanhedrin on the Vart. So you're going to see the Taras Chaim. You want to stare at the bottle. Okay, so always the Taras Chaim is very, very. He always has such smart things to say. Not that he's not my askama, but they resonate with me very much. By a person working hard in learning, meaning they're physically working and learning. Kamar shemateses koich shaladam. Now, the physical exertion that it takes, that's the way you would learn pshat. That the physical exertion that one exerts by learning Torah would go ahead and weaken the person. Says the Taras Chaim, ve'ein nira. It's not true. The chayt v'yetzim, the chayt v'avanim, we have people who carry wood and chop wood. V'shar bali malachos tareich malachna meruba me'amala shel Torah. The physical what they're involved in is much more than Torah. V'adrabba, they're cher da'chinoyam. The ways of Torah are sweet. V'chala oiskim ba yesh like kairas ruach. A person's oisik in Torah has a certain kairas ruach, a certain yeshiva dais, the daitoi nacha. In other words, adrabba, Amel Shal Torah would bring out more physical attributes of a person rather than weaken. So therefore, says that Pashim Shat. How can Torah, if it's the physical exertion, we have many other professions which are physically much more taxing, and it doesn't say it's Matesh's Koicham, right? It doesn't say that. So it says therefore Taras Chaim the following. Ela Shekenu Dakar, is it? Lakach Nira. The Mashihi Matesh's Koicha Shalodam, Lav Mifnei Toreach Amalahu. It's not because of the physical toil. Ela Shekeni Darka Shal Torah. That's the way of Torah. Shekola Isik Ba, Nasa Koyach Choimri, Tosh. The physical aspect of a person's body becomes weak. Why? Kidei sheyizgaber alav koyach nishmasai. His spiritual side should overcome his physical side. V'daitoi v'chachmasai, and his das in chachma. Shekol zman shechoimrei shel adam miskaber is when a person's physical needs and attributes are in overcoming the person. Ein daita in the choina l'tzula. His das is not nachem tzol. A person physically, if you're too strong, if your physical desires are very strong, anything that doesn't allow you to learn. But as a result of learning, it weakens your physical desire, and memela, a person is more tzolol, right? Is more. They always say that a person who is it's very hard. A guy gets married. It's very hard to learn when you're a teenager. When you get older, and we can all understand that once upon a time. But then you get married, and it gets easier. So as a person learns more Torah, what does Hashem do? He takes him more the physical side. He puts him on the wayside by getting weakened, and as a result, you can learn better. Okay. As they get older, they get even smarter. Because their physical is totally gone. Okay, he brings the Maisur Reish Lakish. I'll tell you the Maisur outside, which makes a lot of sense. There's a very famous Gemara in Pei Dalid, Amid Aleph, Masechta Bab Mitzia. The Maisur goes like this: that Reish Lakish had been a Talmid Chacham once upon a time. He'd been a learned person. He'd gone off. Rabbi Shloka wasn't shot. He had gone off. And he became a leader of bandits. And Rabbi Yochanan was bathing in the river, and Reish Lakish jumped in to rob him or kill him. And he took one look at Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was the last shufei di Yerushalayim. We said in the Gemara Brachas, the last beautiful person in Yerushalayim. He's shown. If you remember, he walked into the house. Rabbi Elazar was sick. He revealed his arm, and the house lit up. He was beautiful, and Reish Lakish was so taken with his beauty. And Reish Lakish had physically jumped in the river. And Mashma was a physical feat that he did, jumping in the river to kill him. And Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan told him the famous things that that Chelech L'Raisa, take your koyach and use it for Torah. And he says, if you do, I'll give you my sister, who's even nicer looking than I am. And he accepted that, and he couldn't jump out of the river. He didn't begin learning yet, guys. He didn't begin learning yet, but he couldn't jump out of the river. And you see from the Teres Chaim, it's beautiful. Why? If you're talking about being Amal B'Torah, he hadn't been Amal B'Torah yet. So why should he be able to jump out of the river? So you see, it has nothing to do with the physical attribute. It has to do with the Kabbalah. So once he was Makabal, what did Hashem do? Hashem said, oh, you're Makabal Torah? I'll take away the physical part of you, and therefore you should be able to learn. And therefore, he wasn't able to go ahead and jump out. Beautiful Teres Chaim to explain a nice Gemara and explain Rabbi Bornstein. He brought a very, very nice Chassidish word. Very nice Chassidish from Rabbi Yonishin Steifsatzal. He said, what's that? The Torah is Mateshes Koicha Shaladam. We know that the person, when he goes, the Torah tells us the person has to be careful. Anytime you do physical labor and you look at your field, you say, Koichi v'oitzim yadi yasa sachel hazeh. My koyach and myself made this scale. I did this, right? When you learn Torah, what happens? You get Hakar and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And once you get HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's Mateshes Koicha Shaladam to think that what? You might think that you're responsible for this. The more Torah you learn, guess what? The more you realize that alles is from the Rabbi Shalom. It's all from Hashem. And that's a beautiful Chassidish of the Her. In Torah is Mateshes Koich Saladam. The Yetzirah to say what? Right? The Torah is going to Mateshes Torah. It's a very, very nice, Rabbi Yonishin Shleif. What? He was quoting an Einik from some Seif, I think. He was quoting an Einik from some Seif. So, but it's nice to have. It's nice to have. Says the Gemara Vayta. First Chaim always never disappoints. He always says such glad to stuff. And I bring him all the time. He brings such glad to stuff. Okay, it said that you're permitted guys to eat. What are we discussing, fellas? What's a tafshil? Anything that's eaten with bread. Good. And something thick is not eaten with bread. And they were speaking in Eretz Yisrael. The Mishnah was written in Eretz Yisrael. However, our Mishnah is not like the Babylonians. The Amar, they say, the Babylonians are fools. It's funny, Reb Zera came from Babel. The achli lachma b'lachma, they eat bread on top of bread. In other words, they eat bread on top of bread. They eat different, in other words, they eat ava, something that's thick on top of bread. So that's like that's a sandwich on a sandwich. Amar Rav Chisda, the mashal lahayin lahalon naktani. I asked these people I asked the wine reb family, people are very, very Epicurean, the Hutzel of Hutzel. Hadein daisa, hechi mailil nichla. How do you eat daisa? Right? How do you eat literally cereal? The chita belachme the chiti. Do you eat the daisa made from wheat with wheat bread? With the sa'ari and daisa that's made from barley. Belachme the sa'ari. Do you eat it with barley bread? I remember the beech nut cereal where they had different, like the rice mix and remember that and that. The baby cereal, right? Different. They still make that stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and when the kids go up. Sorry, balachmi. Sorry. I dilma the chiti b'rashi b'desiri. Maybe you eat the wheat on top of barley bread. With the siri, maybe you eat barley daisa b'dechiti. Okay, Rava achle b'chasisi. Rava would eat it and dried in an oven. He'd eat the daisa dried in an oven. And Rav Huna ashkel Rav Huna the ka'achi daisa betz basar. He found him eating daisa with his hands. Amalei said to him, "My ka'achal mar biyadi. Why are you using your hands?" So Amalei hacham amarav. Rav said, "Daisa betz basar. Basar. If you eat that daisa with your hands, it's sweet. V'chol dechem betartin. Better even eat with 2 fingers. V'chol dechem betlis and 3 fingers. Very strange Gemara. Amalei Rav l'chia berei. Amalei Rav. I'm biting my tongue. Amalei Rav Huna Amalei Rav l'chia berei. V'chein Amalei Rav Huna l'Rabba berei. So we have Rav Chia and Rav Huna alike giving their fatherly advice to their kids. You should travel until a parsa if someone invites you for daisa. Lamechel bisra the Torah eat axe meat at tilsin parsa. You should travel 3 parsais. Amalei Rav l'chia berei. V'chein Amalei Rav Huna l'Rabba berei. Kol meidam, all things like tifleit kame rabcha. You should never spit out in front of your Rebbe. Levar min kara v'daisa, with the exception of saliva that's a result of eating gourds and or this daisa, the cereal. Shein doimin lepsilta shaleva, because swallowing that spittle that comes about as a result of digesting this food is tough on the stomach like lead. Va'afilu kameshav amalkapol, even in front of the king of Persia, you should spit out. That's how dangerous it is. Dangerous it is. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, chad achol daisa betzpasei. One ate the daisa with his hands, like Rav. The chad achol behutza. One ate it with he used as an implement. He used bark. Amalei dachol behutza. The achol of etzba. So the one who was eating using the bark as an implement, as an instrument. He said to the one who was eating with his hands, "Admasai atamachileni." Now they're eating from a communal plate. So he said, "Until how long will you feed? We will eat mitzayasecha from the schmutz that's underneath your hands, because you're eating with your hands. You got schmutz in your hands, and now you're going to be feeding it us because we're taking from a communal plate." So Amalei the achol betzvasa, the one who was eating with his fingers, said the achol bechutza, the one who was eating with the bark. Admasai atamachileni roicha. How long will we be feeding your roik? So it's when you eat with your hands, you dry your hands off before you put them back in. Mashenkin, if you're eating with this implement, it seems your saliva was still on it and you're still sticking in the communal plate.
That's perfect. That's great.
Yeah, listen, we definitely. I think things have improved a great deal in terms of hygiene and where we eat.
One bowl of herring.
Tongue shredding. That's why I'm biting my tongue very hard. You heard already. Okay, anyway. Rav Yehuda, Rav Shimon, Aisi Kamayu, Rav Yehuda and Rav Shimon, Aisi Kamayu, they brought in front of him, Belusfoyin. These seems to be Belusfoyin, this seems to be a type of figs that can't be digested. And what happened? Rav Yehuda, Achel, he ate these figs, Rav Shimon Achel. So I'm Rav Yehuda, my time Achel, why didn't you, Rav Shimon want to eat? So I'm Rav Shimon, Elu in Yotzim Me'ayim Kolika, because they hang around. This is pre-Metamucil days, right? So Amalei Reb Yehuda, Kol Shekain, it's better than Shenismach Aleim Lamacha, right? And it's gonna be in your innards and keep you going. Reb Yehuda have a Yasel committee of Tarfin, Amalei of Tarfin, Hayom Panecha Tzehuvim. Today your face is beaming. So Amalei Emesh Yotza Avdecha L'Sada. Last night I went out to the field. They via lonu tradin beets v'achlum b'loy melach, and we ate them without salt. V'machlum b'melach kol shkein she'panenu tzuvim. It certainly seems that beets will make you beam, and with salt to really make you beam. Amro hahi matronisa Rav Yehuda, this Roman matron said to Rav Yehuda, Moira, you're a Moira hayra, the Rabbi, and you're drunk. And he was beaming. So she looked, he said, yeah, you must be drunk. So Amalei, he said to her, Himnusa biyada dahi isasa. By the honor of you. Your honor, trust me on this one. Imna, when it comes to drinking wine, if I taste it, elakidusha v'abdalta, v'arba kosei de pischa, if I only drank Kiddush and Abdullah in the 4 courses of Pesach, the chugrani tzidoi min Pesach aratzeres. And after the 4 courses, I mamish had to tie my temples together because it had such a negative effect on him. Trust me, I'm not drunk. The wine has such a negative effect upon me. I'm not drunk. So she wants to know, so why are you beaming so much? Ella, chachmas adam tayapana. The chachma of a person, it brightens the face. And Rabbi Yehuda was a chachma. Right? What? This is it's a Tana Rabbi Yehuda. It's a Tana Rabbi Yehuda very light. Amalei utza doiki Rabbi Yehuda. Hanecha doimim. Your face is similar. Both these people make a lot of money. People who learn for ribis and people who raise pigs. It seems to be very profitable. So Amalei, so Rabbi Yehuda told this to Sadoiki, to a Jew, they're both asa. We can't do either one. Ella, you want to know why I'm so beaming? Doc, this is for you. The 24 bathrooms from here until the base medrash. And I go to each one every hour, and that would make you a happy man. Rabbi Yehuda kat azla be midrasha shakal gulpa al kalfa. When you go to the base medrash, he would carry a barrel on his shoulder. In other words, he would step this to the base medrash and sit on the barrel rather than sit on the ground. Rav Shimon shakal tzina al katfe. He carried a basket. The same reason, because why he's going to sit on it. The beside Rabbi Yehuda, the wife of Rabbi Yehuda, nafkis noktas imra, and she went and bought a wool, and of the glima, the hutfe, and she made an embroidered cloak. Kadnafka l'shuka michse bay. When she would go out to the street, she would wear it. The kadnafik Rav Yehuda letzluye had mechasi matzlei. When he would go, he would wear it. Kamechasi bay having mavarach baruch shatani me'il. He benched that you make me a me'il. See, the shaila about wearing a woman's clothing seems to be over here that there was universal, something that was universally worn would be permitted to be worn. That's where my shaw learns. Zimn chad the gazer of Yishim ben Galil tainis. So this guy said tainis of Yehuda Layasa lebei tainis because he didn't have, his wife was wearing the cloak and he didn't have it. So Amalei like Islay Kisuya. They said, why don't you come? So he said, because I don't have a cloak. So Shad like Glima. So Shimon sent him a cloak. Like Kiva, he didn't want to accept it. Why? And anyway, he told the shliach, Doli Tzifta. He lifted up. The Rush says he picked up a mat, and he was samech on an S that there'd be money there. So he wanted to show him that he doesn't go ahead and have it. This has nothing to do with wealth. You see what I have over here, but since I don't want to benefit from this world, I didn't buy what a right. Thank you for listening.